Hi, I'm Dr. Pete Lombardi, and welcome to tonight's video seminar. And the topic is really how to beat stress during the holidays and in the process get really healthy. And the reason I wanted to provide this video seminar is because oftentimes I have a lot of practice members that really get stressed out during the holidays, and I know they're not alone. So there's a lot of other people out there besides them that are under a lot of stress during the holidays, but also their health declines during the holidays. After the first of the year, a lot of people are sick and not feeling well, and they're having a hard time recovering. So I want to give you some strategies, some tips, and some tools so that you can go through this holiday season and have the best time ever. Okay, so the very first tip is I want to make sure that you have a plan. You see, if you go through everything like you did last year, if you do everything the exact same way that you did last year, you're going to end up with the same result. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you try something a little more intentional, a more intentional plan, well, then you just might be giving yourself the present that you're looking for. And, you know, nobody sets out with the intention of wanting to be sad or sick or poor when the holidays are over or really stressed out, right? But how about this? How about planning to be happy? How about planning to be healthy? How about planning to actually have some money in your pocket at the end of the holiday or even become more wealthy during the holiday? And most of all, how about being grateful? Okay? Because that's really the opposite of being sad or depressed, is being in a state of gratitude. Okay, so first things first is we got to actually get out pen and paper. Okay? So very few people ever will write down any type of goal or plan. You know, some people do make lists, and that's really good to work from, but I'm talking about something a little bit more than just a shopping list here. I'm talking about something a little bit more intentional and with a little more meat to it than that. So your kids will write out their Christmas list, and they don't leave out many details, do they? I mean, when they have a list, I mean, my son Timmy came up with, I think, 127 things this year. We had to have him narrow it down a little bit. But they know exactly what they're after, right? So how about you? How about you set some specific goals and list them out and some reasons why you want these goals? And we're going to talk about that. Why is it really important that you have this happen this year? Okay, so why is your health important? Why is your happiness important? Why is, you know, your financial prosperity? Why is that important? Those are some really important questions that we're going to delve into. And because here's the thing, if something is important to you, then you're going to attain it. And if it's not really that important, then you're not going to follow through with it, and you're not going to really actually, you know, care much about it. You're going to slip, you're going to falter, you're going to go back to your old ways, right? Has anybody ever done that? Because I know I have, right? Okay, speaking from experience. All right, so the third tip that I want to really give you is this, is that you really need to sit down as you're doing this process and identify what are your weak spots. And I'm going to hit probably about 8 or 10 of these weak spots that I find that are extremely common among people. So one of the first ones is, do you overspend? Do you spend way more money than you really intended to during the holiday season? Well, for some people, money isn't an issue. But for most people, you know, money is at a premium. You know, your dollars are hard-earned, and you know, they don't always stretch as far as you'd like to these days. I mean, the price of things has not gone down very much. Everything's pretty much gone up. So, you know, we've got to be a little bit smarter with the dollar. So let's be conscious of that. So, do you procrastinate? Are you somebody that puts off things to the last minute? Because that's something that I've struggled with. I'll admit that. But we're going to give you some strategies to do really well at that. And here's another one. Do you miss workouts, or do you miss appointments to your chiropractor, or do you miss you know, counseling sessions, or whatever you do where you have an appointment or a scheduled thing that you normally would do? Do you miss meals? Do you skip meals because you're so busy trying to run here and run there? Here's another one. Do you overeat, or do you eat the wrong foods? Is that you? I know I can think of a patient that says that, you know, one of her big problems that she struggles with is that she struggles with gaining weight during the holidays. So she's probably not making good food choices, and maybe she's also not, she's probably not sticking to any type of exercise routine during the holidays. And here's another one. Maybe you drink too much. Maybe this is the time of year when you find yourself waking up and you really feel like crap because you've consumed way too much alcohol. And I'm not saying that, you know, it's okay to be drinking all the time, but I'm also not saying that that a glass of wine or a beer or a beverage is out of the question either. So I understand, and that's fine. If you want to have a drink or two, that's fine, but you got to have some limitations there. And are you the person that doesn't sleep enough? Now, during the holidays, you find yourself absolutely exhausted because you're just not getting to bed on time, or you're waking up way early to try to get to certain sales, or working extra to try to make extra money. Think about that one. Or here's another real common one. Do you experience a lot of anxiety? A lot of anxiety or even depression during the holidays? Because that is sad but true, but many people have bad memories of the holidays, or maybe they've lost a loved one, or there's people that are missing in their life right now that they miss dearly, and so it's a state of depression. So we've got to address that one for sure. And here's another one. Do you try to do too much? This is the busy bee scenario. The person that's always trying to do everything and get way too much in, and just run themselves ragged. And by the time it's all done, we're sick and we're tired, and was it all worth it? Because I want to see everybody starting off the new year on the right foot and saying, you know what, my holidays were the best. Okay, so what is it that you're going to have to do so that you can say that statement come in January? So think about that. So here's what you do. You have to have a system of solution. So in other words, if you've identified some weak areas, okay, now we've got to solve it. That's a problem if it's a weak area for you. So now what's your system to solve it? So in the case of a budget or finances, overspending, if I'm overspending too much, we've got to work on a budget. So the average American is going to spend what? Somewhere between $900 and $1,000. That's the average. Some people may spend thousands of dollars, and there's maybe some people that only spend a few $100 or less than $100. It depends. So that's an average. So where do you want to be? Do you want to be above the average? You know your finances better than I do, so you've got to pick a number and stick to it. Divide it out. So we have 4 children, and we said, okay, here's our budget. This is where we want to stay. And today my wife showed me where she's at with what she's bought so far for the kids as far as gifts, and where we are with buying gifts for relatives and so forth. And so far we're right on track with that budget. Now here's the trick. Don't be out window shopping and say, oh, I could just get that one more thing, and oh, so-and-so would really like this, and why don't I get this? And next thing you know, you've just blown your budget. So plan out exactly how much you want to spend, and then pick out whatever presents are going to equal that amount. Just keep it systematized, and you'll be very successful. And when you're done, you're done. Okay? Finish line, you're done. You don't keep running the race, right? So you got to run 400 meters, 1 lap around the track. You don't see the runners run a couple more laps because, the finish line is the finish line. All right? There's got to be an end to it. All right, so for you procrastinators, I'm going to give you one slogan. And that one slogan is TNT. And that slogan means what? It means today, not tomorrow. And I'll tell you, whenever I just attack a problem and just handle it and get it over with, it takes all the stress off your plate, right? So same thing in the holidays when you've got different things that you have to accomplish, different tasks that you want to get done, just do them as soon as you can. So allot the time. And that's a big part of not procrastinating, is actually picking a time when you're going to do it. If you, in other words, say I had a term paper due, and the professor says you've got all semester to do the term paper. When do most students start working on the term paper? Most students start with about a day or two left in the semester before it's due, and they're in the library every night working their tail off to try to finish this thing, and the last possible second they're typing it out and printing it off, and they run it right up to the professor at the last possible second. Okay, that's because they never planned when they were going to work on the term paper. Same thing with you. Whatever project you have, whatever it is, shopping, cooking, going to take care of somebody, whatever it is, plan the time to do it. So my shopping is going to be on this date. I'm going to be gone for this amount of time, and I'm going to complete all of my shopping for these people during that amount of time. That's practicing today, not tomorrow. So do it as soon as possible, but also allot a certain amount of time for that. Okay. Here's another one now. The third one we talked about was missing workouts. Now, it's not just workouts and exercise, but it's also keeping different appointments. I mean, keeping your appointment to get your hair cut, keeping your chiropractic appointment to keep your spine healthy. Let me tell you a story. My father became really ill in 2004, and he was became, you know, it was the end of his life. His life was winding down, and he was on his deathbed, and he finally passed away. So very, very stressful, very emotional time. And I liken it to the holidays because it's high stress, high emotions, right? Okay, so all my brothers and sisters came to town. They all flew in. And great opportunity to get off of my usual routine, right? Great opportunity to eat differently, great opportunity to skip workouts, great opportunity to stay up late, get up later, late in the day. Here's what I did. I didn't change a thing. I stayed on my workout schedule. I kept eating the same foods at the same times. My sleep schedule stayed the same. I even tried to keep my work schedule as close to normal as possible. Because here's what I found, is that whenever I change and deviate from the norm like that, it throws my body's own rhythms off. And when my body isn't getting what it's used to, well, then it's more in a situation where it's prone to getting sick or diseased, and we don't want that. And that we don't want to stress the system any more than possible. So try to keep those things sacred and develop these healthy rhythms and rituals. And if you don't have healthy rhythms and rituals, this is a great time to start them, because if you can start them during the holidays and keep them solid through the holidays, you'll keep them solid through the whole year. Okay. All right. Here's another big thing. If you're not, you know, as far as eating healthy and so forth, and overeating and avoiding that weight gain thing, here's a couple of great simple tips that anybody can do. The first is, before any meal, if you're going to sit down for any meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, or whatever, drink a big glass of water, okay? Very simple to do. Typically this time of year we're not hydrating enough, and secondly, you know, that's going to actually make you feel a little bit more full sooner, so you're going to be less likely to eat too much. Here's the next thing, is like if you're at a buffet type of a layout where, you know, there's a lot of people there and there's all this food laid out, take very, very small portions and sample everything. Instead of taking large chunks of different things and heaping your plate up really high, take small portions of the things that you like the best and try to pick the healthiest options there. You know, I'm not saying you can't have a chicken wing now and then, but just take one. You know, you just want to have, if you just want to have the flavor, I'm not saying to deprive yourself of anything, but at least try to be sensible and smart about it, okay? Because if you stay on your workout routines and you drink a lot of extra fluids, a lot of extra water, more than likely your weight gain issue isn't even going to be a problem, especially if you keep your sleep habits in check as well. So next thing is alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption, not only is it dangerous with regard to your physical health and driving and so forth, but alcohol has a lot of calories with it, especially some of the drinks where you've got a lot of fruit juices and so forth in it. So if you want to keep your weight in check during the holidays, that's another great reason to limit your consumption of alcohol. Next one is keeping your bedtime sacred. So try to keep your bedtime sacred with regard to the time you go to bed and the time you wake up. Okay, so we're not going to sleep in too late unless you have absolutely no reason to get up. I'm not saying not to, but try to at least get to bed early and to keep your body on that same rhythm. Because if you start getting in the habit of sleeping in late, then all of a sudden you have to go back to work or you have to get up for something. It's a nightmare, and you don't want to really have to do that. We just went through that with Thanksgiving. I noticed that people really, whenever we have holidays, I notice the highest amount of people missing appointments and so forth because they're so out of their normal rhythm, they're so out of their normal routine, and that's not a good thing to do, because once you start missing your appointments, that's not good for you either, right? So you're going to skip your workouts, you're going to start skipping all these other things, so it all has to start on the right foot. Okay, let's see. Next thing is to avoid, and this is probably one of the best things to stay on top of your game, but to avoid anxiety and depression during the holidays. This is huge for you. Make a gratitude list, okay? So a list of all the things that you are just so thankful for in your life, all right? It may start out, I mean, you could be having an awful rotten week or an awful rotten day, or you could be going through a really depressing moment in your life. But there's still things that you have that are just awesome in your life, okay? So write those down. And it may be as simple as you're glad you're alive to start off with. You're glad and you're happy and you're grateful for the fact that, you know, you have a roof over your head and you have food in your refrigerator and you have heat in your home. I mean, talk to people that just went through a major tragedy where a hurricane came through and they haven't had heat and they don't have a roof over their head. I'm telling you, you all of a sudden start to get grateful for the simplest things in life. So make that list. And as you're making the list, the longer you make it, the better it is, because you're going to start to see that there's so many things and you're so abundantly blessed that it's hard to be in any other state than being thankful. And so the trick to this list is read it before you go to bed every night, because it's going to put your mind at ease and it's going to put it in a perfect place to get a great night's sleep. And secondly, read it when you get up in the morning. What better way to start your day? So keep it by your nightstand. And as you're reading through this list, when you start to, it maybe even will trigger other thoughts and other memories that you can write down. So continue to add to this list. And as this list grows, you're going to get, it's going to start to create emotions inside of you, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you know you've got it when you start to really get emotional about it. So it's very personal. It seems kind of weird to do something like that, but it's extremely powerful. Okay? All right. For the busy, busy person, right? A person that is always doing everything, and I know my wife falls into this trap a lot of times because she's got such a caring, loving heart, and that is the art, and she struggles with this, the art of saying no. Okay, you don't have to say yes to everything. It actually becomes very liberating when you turn a few opportunities down, because not every opportunity really fits into your life. Okay, so here's a comment that I've heard before, and that is, don't overpromise and underdeliver. In other words, don't say yes to everything and scramble to try to get it all done. Instead, let's underpromise and then overdeliver. So take pride and deliver things with quality. So if you're baking cookies or if you're preparing a meal, instead of having 37 courses that you're breaking your neck to try to prepare, let's just do a really good job on a couple of great dishes. And maybe it's a simple meal, but it's really done with love and care. And you're able to enjoy the moment because you didn't knock yourself out to produce it all. Does that make sense? I hope it really does. So sometimes less is more, and quality is better than the quantity. And here's another really great tip for you along the same lines, is try to maximize your efficiency by planning out like your shopping and stuff before you actually leave the house. I mean, I have found that this is one of my, I'm actually really good at this. And that's is when it comes to Christmas shopping, I don't like to deal with a lot of crowds. I don't like dealing with a lot of lines in stores, and sometimes even the attitudes that you get to see in the store. So my idea of Christmas shopping is I know exactly what I want, I know exactly where I'm going to get it, and I know exactly how long I'm going to be there. And typically I can get all my Christmas shopping done within 30 minutes, which sounds crazy, but it's easy to do if you have it all planned out. And even better is in the advent of the internet, you can pretty much just shop online and get everything taken care of. But and that's a nice way to go. So check that out. And here's one more real nice tip here that'll help with your budget too, is to really shorten your gift list by using a name exchange. So if you have a lot of people in your family, cousins, aunts, uncles, and you've been buying for all these different people, make the suggestions, send out an email to everybody in the family and say, hey, how about a name exchange? How about we just buy for, you know, a couple of each other, so that way everybody's going to be all on board with that. Nobody wants more and more gifts and presents. How about that? Try to minimize that stuff, and then you'll end up a lot happier in the end. So here's the big thing though. We all know certain things that we should do and that we could do, but we don't always do them. And the reason we don't is because we haven't developed a compelling reason. There's not a big why in front of it all. And that's what drives this whole thing, your why. Why do I want to, you know, watch what I eat? Why do I want to drink a glass of water? Why do I want to exercise through the holidays? Why do I want to do all of this stuff? And you've got to answer that question. But that reason has to be compelling enough that you're going to stick to this new habit and this new action. Okay? So think about it. For me, you know, I don't want to be at the end of the holidays and feel like crap. I don't want to be sick at the end of the holidays because I know I don't like being sick. I don't like having a cold or a flu or something like that. That's not a lot of fun. So that's motivating right there. So I know that if I follow these different things, it's really going to increase my likelihood of being really healthy. So I never miss my adjustments. I don't miss my, you know, I don't stop taking any of my vitamins. I still take my fish oil, my probiotics, and all that stuff during the holidays. And I also limit, you know, the amount of alcoholic beverages that I might consume. You know, instead of drinking, you know, 3 or 4 glasses of wine, I'll just have 1 or 2 glasses of wine. Red wine is, you know, I like it. It's good. It's good stuff. So all of that stuff is because I know that I'm better. I'm able to enjoy the holidays better, and I'm able to have a lot more fun if I'm at the top of my game. So people always say to me, why are you so happy? Why do you always seem so happy, Dr. Pete? And the reason why is because I really enjoy it, and I really want to be an example for everybody else. Okay? And it's a lot more fun being happy. So what you're going to do with all this stuff is you're going to actually create some new healthy habits and new rituals and rhythms, and you can build upon them throughout the whole year. And then at the end of the holiday season and the beginning of the new year, you're going to be able to look back at this set of holidays, this year, 2012's holidays, going into 2013, as the best year you've ever had. Okay, so take these tips to heart. Practice them, and good luck. And as always, be well from above, down, inside out. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.